Thanks for that. Child struck by tragedy's lost balloons cliche. So, what exactly led Castor Troy to plot Sean Archer's murder here of all places? He plotted this and said, yep, carousel, that's where I'll get this bastard. Also, villain that the movie will go on to portray is 100% gleefully psycho crazy, shows remorse at the death of his enemy's child. Also, he does not fire again to ensure his original intended target is dead. Even John Woo is not above the pan over awards display on the wall to show hero's amazing worthiness cliche. FBI profile misspells Nicolas Cage. Arbitrary 11-day countdown is arbitrary. Either that or Castor Troy gave himself the biggest head start to get away from a bomb in the history of head starts. Yep, that's Nicolas Cage, alright.
Jet was just chartered, Anderson Airfield. Guess who paid the bill in cash? Pollux Troy.
So they're named Castor and Pollux? Astronomy fan parents are astronomy fans. Also, how is there an instant record of Pollux Troy renting an aircraft if he paid cash? And if he's paying cash, why is he using his real name instead of doing it under Seymour Butts or some shit?
You know, I can, eat a peach for hours.
Bragalingus. Tongue sucking.
FBI!
But you sucked his tongue! How is the plan not for you to shoot him in the shoulder and arrest him before this plane could even approach takeoff? Why is Archer a mile ahead of Troy on the runway and everyone else is behind him? Hell, in the time it took to get ahead of this plane, he could have arrested Troy already. It's all because they want Archer to play chicken with the plane later, isn't it? Also, when all this started, he was only this far away from the plane. Now he's at Fast and Furious 6 runway distance. Castor Troy is standing in the airplane when it wrecks into this hangar and his body suffers no consequences. There is quite a bit of who gives a shit gunplay in this scene. Edited with leftover shots where they accidentally turned the camera on and rolled for 1 second before turning it off. You can totally see the wire in this guy in this shot, which will be used to make him fly backwards in this shot. I'm beginning to think these two are nemesis only because of mutual terrible aim. Neither of these two shoots right now, thus ending the standoff. Both guns at point-blank skull range. First one that pulls the trigger wins, right? Instead...
Okay. Please, man, don't shoot me.
In what will become the movie's protocol in several scenes, Sean decides not to back up a respectful distance, which means Troy can pull a knife on him. Would the pure heat of a jet engine like this not melt or kill a dude? I'm asking here, I'm no jet engine heat index expert, but seems to my layman's eye that this asshole should be dead as f***.
I got him, Eve.
Sean's huge news about bagging the man who killed their son waited until he got home to spring it on her. The FBI file on Sean's kid is titled Carousel Sniper Victim, like you would if there was a serial killer out there named the Carousel Sniper. If you're going to be oddly cold about a fellow FBI agent's son's death, why isn't this titled Castor Troy Murder Victim number 29 Carousel Follies or some
Where's Pollux Troy?
Future Human Resources call.
Oh, God. You're keeping him alive.
I know, right? But brace yourself. That's not even the stupidest idea they've got.
Relax, Archer. He's a turnip.
CCH Pounder is addicted to turnips.
What if you could walk into Air One prison and give Pollux a nice big brotherly hug as Castor Troy?
Or think about this for a second. Put Castor Troy's picture in the news and ask if anyone saw this guy around town acting weird the other day. And see if 100 choir members remember the priest who grabbed that one chick's ass. And then search the convention center? I know it's a little bit out there, but it just might work.
I know who you are.
But you don't know what I can do.
Please say truth serum and not changing someone's physical appearance to trick people to talk. Also, does Archer himself have to be the guy who gets thrown into Pollux's cell? Can't this be some low-level Leonardo DiCaprio from Departed kind of guy who has no family and maybe took an acting class?
Blood types won't match,
But your height, weight, and head shape will for some reason. And your hands, arms, posture, style of walking.
height difference is negligible.
According to Wikipedia, it's 2 inches. A brother would definitely notice a sudden 2-inch change in his sibling's height.
You have lived and breathed Castor Troy for years.
Yeah, but it's not like you've been hanging out with him or anything. Your brief moments trying to apprehend him doesn't mean you're an acting expert on all things Castor Troy.
It's a black bag operation. Strictly off the books.
How does she plan to explain to the FBI boss why they kept Troy alive and he's now entering prison?
I'll do it.
He'll do it. Rebellious teenage daughter keeps her door open, because that's what teenagers do. Dad drapes the covers over his kid to show that he cares cliche.
This doctor, if he can do even half of what he says he can do, maybe it'll work.
If he does half of what he says he can do, you'll be instantly shanked for not looking like Castor Troy at all. I mean, seriously, isn't evacuating LA a better alternative than this? Are you giving the haircut in the surgery room with the no-face patient? Is that even sanitary? And here's where I remind the movie it told me their blood types were different. That makes all other transplants impossible. So the sin is for the movie even mentioning it, since they could have just easily made these two have the same blood type. Of course, then I'd have sinned the movie for convenience, so how is there absolutely no scarring where they cut his face? Even with makeup or flesh-colored face caulk, that's gotta be the most unbelievable thing about this. And I can't believe I just said that.
6 days until the 18th.
And yet, the bomb clock shows they have 9 days until the bomb goes off because math is inconvenient.
Face itches.
Well, here, let me massage your itches out.
Archer's gonna be pissed when he comes back from his training op and finds out.
The guy's knee-deep in Georgia swamp.
These guys must have heard that the helipad was in dire need of clunky exposition. Also, the cover story is a training op. Whether he's learning or teaching, there was no fucking way an agent that just nearly died apprehending the world's most wanted criminal would be sent on a training op.
This entire prison's one big magnetic field.
What? Doesn't that with electronics and pacemakers and everything metal? Like the lights or tables or architectural support beams or the guns the guards are holding? Because if you'll accept that John Travolta can become Nicolas Cage through surgery, then you'll accept fucking anything. Hey look, they found a way to show Lucy in this prison. Castor Troy, biggest criminal psychopath murderer in all of ever, is put in general population. Who the f is getting thrown when they have magnetic boots on? And getting on tables and jumping on people. This is a f***ing magnetic field, assholes. Archer's face miraculously stays on during this fight. This highly experimental facility is keeping a known criminal psychopath, and no one is here to guard it. And they didn't even put restraints on the guy, just in case something like this might happen. So Castor's henchmen believed the guy on the other end of the line was actually him, somehow found Walsh and kidnapped him, and brought him here without thinking this is a setup?
Aren't they giving you your medication in here?
What was my medication?
Come on, this dude has no reason to suspect face transplant surgery is possible, nor any reason to think this is anyone other than his brother after a long coma. Jesus.
I guess the LA Convention Center will have to do.
Thank you.
You do not taunt your foe before your plan to defeat said foe is complete, and definitely not before you've actually gotten out of prison. Archer is the greatest agent alive, and he's a complete dumbass. Sounds about right. Oh yeah, did they also swap eyeballs? Okay, so turning John Travolta into Nicolas Cage I can kinda sorta buy, in that suspend my disbelief in a science fiction movie sorta way. Turning Cage into Travolta has got to be a trickier process, especially in a fly-by-night under duress with no planning sorta way. I'd like to know how Troy tracked down these people, and somehow knew that they were the only ones that knew the secret about Sean. Maybe Walsh told him, but they'd either have to set a trap for them so that they'd drive out to the Institute in the middle of the night, or they'd have to find their addresses and kidnap trained FBI agents. The only way Castor knows which house is Sean's is because Eve just happens to be walking outside right now. Do you mean he didn't get a simple address? With her dad acting like Bob from Alabama on To Catch a Predator, she doesn't feel the need to put any pants on, or is in any way acting like a teenage girl would in this situation.
What about our $10 million?
What about when I become an American hero for defusing the bomb?
Well, you'll be a hero who does not have 10 million, but whatever, I trust your evil plan instincts here. The little flamey things show up before Castor even presses the buttons. Oh sure, this giant prison TV that has only been showing soothing nature and wildlife footage suddenly switches to news, just so Sean can see the news that will infuriate him. The meal looks nice and all, but none of these dishes are on warmers, meaning cold and rubbery is the order of the day. Also, lobster, spaghetti, salad, and giant asparagus tips or some That, ladies and gentlemen, is a meal thrown together by a truly clueless person. Jesus, how many candles did Castor have to light for this fucking fire hazard dinner? John and Joan bone. By the way, do Sean and Castor have the same penis size?
Anybody got a light?
Sean is allowed to do this.
Can I have a light?
Why would you light the cigarette of a prisoner ever? Especially one who is about to get electric shocks.
Mr. Bob, I didn't touch your wife. And I didn't touch your sister.
Thankfully for our hero, this asshole is totally cognizant, 30 seconds after having his brain electrified.
But I know your wife loves you. He's waiting for you. So let's get out of here.
Sean just learned of this place, and had no idea Dubov was getting electric shocks, but he is crucial to the entire plan to get out of here. And not only that, he's able to get Dubov to forgive Castor and help him here with mere words.
Out!
I mean, yeah, this seems like a perfectly sound plan. Why would you agree to do this? Even if you get out of this room, you're gonna have a hard time getting through the next one, not to mention what happens on the outside. This guy fires all the bullets into the corner and somehow still doesn't hit his target. This prison has a vat of sulfuric acid just lying around waiting for its day in the sun. When did this asshole get up here? Weren't there guards up here just a second ago? Thankfully, Archer knows this prison computer operating system inside and out, and now we're saving people from falling by grabbing the business end of a gun as they grab the barrel. He does eventually die, however, and that makes me happy. More pointless helicopter aiming gives all cops in all movies a combined perfect 0.0 casualty score. Terminator 2 would be proud. Helicopter sees him go in the water and figures, f it, he can't swim anyway, right?
Dr. Archer, call on line 3.
So drop everything you're doing to go answer that call by all means.
Take Jamie, go to your mother's. Don't tell him where you're going, just go.
Whoever you are, don't call again.
First off, even if you don't believe this bullshit story, you know Sean's been different lately, and it's weirded you out. Second off, why not ask some questions? You're not the least bit curious. Dietrich doesn't express any concern that escaped felon Castor Troy is standing in his apartment when he is a known associate.
I'd like to take his face
Roll.
off.
Credits.
His face.
Okay guys, we get it.
Face.
Hey guys, we're officially at the Filmed in Panavision and picture number 34954 of the Motion Picture Association of America at this point. We're about to see the no animal was harmed in the making of this film message. We've rolled some goddamn credits, bitches. Filmmakers thought they were going to need movie tricks to capture this Nicolas Cage on drugs sequence, but quickly realized Cage could blur on cue.
What I'm trying to tell you, brother, Pollux.
In a super loud voice inside the Archer residence, as though no one would ever hear me and
Hey, where you going?
dumbass boyfriend tries to rape Jamie in the driveway of a badass FBI agent. And he just happens to pull this on a night where Sean is actually Castor, and Castor can save her to prove how good he is, just before Eve starts questioning his identity. You remind me of my dead son cliche. Why didn't the real Castor call and warn his most trusted henchmen about the face swapping, so they could apprehend or shoot Archer on sight, instead of having to basically die here in this scene to keep up the charade?
Michael.
I know he's in a confused state, and seeing a little kid that reminds him of Michael is emotional, but damn, this is a less than amateur mistake by Sean. Why is this guy by himself crashing through the ceiling window? And the motherfucker is so slow he's basically saying, go ahead and shoot my ass, this is some easy This scene gets a lot of deserved credit for putting slow motion action against a soothing rendition of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. But from an editing standpoint, it's just a series of shots of characters I mildly recognize that ultimately makes no sense. Also, he cannot possibly have headphones that are this good that drown out all the gunfire or the psychological damage.
Put the boy down.
FBI Guy follows page 5 of the FBI Guy movie manual, which states to hold the gun as close as possible to your target because nothing ever went wrong using that technique.
I don't ever want to see you do that.
Are we supposed to be rooting for the criminal girlfriend of Castor Troy at this point because she spawned a kid?
I don't know what I hate wearing worse. Your face or your body?
Well, you're only wearing his face, and you each kept your own bodies, so obviously the answer is his face. Why doesn't one of them just go ahead and shoot the other right now? Have they not done this showdown shit enough already?
Let's just kill each other.
Well, I've got to knock off a sin for this awesomeness here. Carry on. If you hear the gunshot at this range, can you actually dodge it? He survives running out of this explosion like he's the fucking Starship Enterprise.
Sir, why are you so upset? It's just Pollux Troy.
Man, if Castor hopes to continue this charade, he better hope the ballistics on this murder don't come back to his gun. Castor is about to kill Victor in a room where the blinds are still open. And considering the fact that he's a national hero and is on the cover of Time, you'd think at least one person in the office would be looking this way. But nope, everyone minds their business.
Call the paramedics. Victor Lazarus had a heart attack.
And tell the paramedics not to pay any attention to the bruises and marks on his neck and skull from where I just punched the shit out of him.
The assignment was to enter a federal prison as Castor Troy. She's f***ing insane.
Sean Archer, not to mention the screenwriter, would be excellent at CinemaSins. I don't know why Sean is trying to explain the impossible-to-believe plot of Face Off, instead of just saying a bunch of stuff only he would know to prove that he's actually Sean. Dude, that's your dead son.
Your husband, me, Sean's blood type is O negative. Castor's is AB.
Oh, so the blood types are different just for this silly mechanism for proving his story to Eve. Good thing she just happens to be a doctor.
I know I've been acting different lately.
I know my hands look completely different with more pudge around the tips and knuckles. Ow! That would make me wake up for sure. Damn. But he's merely roused for a moment and drifts back off, like, oh, it must have been the bee, or whatever. Wow. Damn, dude, we know you're right. Do you have to be a creepy stalker?
I once took a date out for surf and turf.
Now that we've had enough mistrust and drama, Sean finally tells a story he should have back at the house a minute ago.
And he was so drunk, he fixed the wrong tooth.
Why we allowed a stinking drunk to poke around in your mouth is beyond me. But I think he was fired the next day and his family left him. Anyway, back to our everlasting tale of love. You know what? I bet Eve went to the hospital and I need to check up on her for some reason. Just a nagging feeling I have.
Excuse me, Mr. Archer. May I help you?
So Eve got a sample of Castor's blood just before she went to bed, and it was clearly still nighttime when she went to the hospital. But then Castor wakes up, it's morning, and Eve and Sean are still at the hospital. That story about the crazy drunk dentist must have taken 8 hours to tell. Also, now that it's morning and the hospital is buzzing with activity, it's amazing not one person has come to check in on Eve and her mystery patient and discover Castor out in the open. I know Sean's wife is always behind the curtains on this floor of the hospital. I don't need to ask anyone where she is. Her life as a doctor is insanely predictable.
Somebody back there asked me to give this to you.
Because he believes you should be aware of his presence to take out the element of surprise for some reason. Also, that guy looked a lot like the guy I saw on TV who escaped prison, but nah, couldn't be. That guy is a convicted felon, so why would he show up to a church? Why is the entire dove population of California in this church? That's pretty unsanitary, and I'm not sitting on one of those pews. Shouldn't he just shoot him in the back right now, instead of walking slowly to a showdown that leads to a boat chase that leads to a fistfight?
Isn't this religious?
Just in case you didn't know Castor was doing a Jesus Christ pose, here's an example of Jesus doing a Jesus Christ pose. This is truly the worst plan I've ever seen when it comes to setting up a duel with your hated enemy. Was this even necessary? Why put yourself at this much risk? And now you see even more reason why he shouldn't have alerted Castor to his presence.
And guess what? Your daughter's on the way.
I'd ask how he managed to find the daughter so quickly, but knowing her, she was hiding in her bedroom smoking cigarettes in her panties.
No father could.
No brother could either.
Neither could his sister.
Where the f*** did she come from? And did she just hear that exchange between Castor and Sean? Why is she not as confused as me right now?
Put the gun down.
Why don't you put your guns down?
John Woo sees your Reservoir Dogs and raises you a Vincent Vega coming out of the bathroom in Pulp Fiction. It's a string bet, but one Hollywood allows. Hey, we definitely only need to see gun shooting, flower vases getting destroyed, and doves flying in this scene. Definitely not who's shooting at who and where everybody is. That's crazy talk. By the way, is anyone going to get called out to the scene here? They're on beachfront property, so you know somebody's heard gunshots and I realize she's confused, but she clearly saw her father shooting at her a few seconds ago, right? Why does she go all in on that man's side right now?
Honey, don't listen to him, honey. He's not your father. Hear my voice.
How is he suddenly able to bypass the voice modulator? Is that Sean doing a spot-on impersonation of himself? Of course, no matter what situation you find yourself in, it's always a good time to show your rapey tendencies.
Someone please tell me what planet I'm on!
Because that's how teenagers talk, you see? Thankfully, here is a second speedboat on this pier that is not tied up or anything. Handy. Also, it's almost like the filmmakers said, you know what? Showdown at the church isn't good enough. Let's have a speedboat action scene after that. The stunt doubles in these overhead shots are f***ing hilariously half-assed. Black suit, black hair, you'll do. Get in there. Best he could do a second ago was hit the fuel line of the boat next to him and not the driver. But now, sure, he deadshots all the cops on this boat. I like a good boat ramp jump as much as the next guy, but was the entire back of the police boat made of extra flammable materials? How does fiberglass striking fiberglass create grenade-level explosions? Also, boat going through an exploding boat somehow dodges the explosion. This is Schrodinger's cat, only in this case we're observing the boat both alive and dead at the same time instead of just wondering. Physics! Speedboat was made up of 95% nitroglycerin and a meth lab. Well, that clearly wasn't enough action. Let's have a fist fight now. They probably cut the 5 other endings this movie had in the script because that was overkill. This walking really close to the person you're about to kill thing is infuriating. He's scouring up the Travolta face so Archer won't be able to use it, but he's apparently forgotten how freaky fast the scar healing technology is at the face transplant lab, which can easily undo this nonsense. Die! Hey, let's put Sean in the exact same ambulance we put Castor. That's protocol, right?
When you wake up, everything will be restored, just the way it was.
Those f***ers at the Walsh Institute weren't the only dickheads who could do face-off surgery. I'm glad Walsh is dead, that prick. Why wasn't Eve at the hospital waiting for him when the surgery was over? This procedure is so safe and uninvasive, it's like going to the dentist, you know, one who's not drunk. Wow, they even somehow grew his hair back out and regrafted his hairline. Amazing. Jesus, he had time to recover from surgery and go through with an adoption and bring the kid home on that very day too? Damn, what did Jamie say earlier?
Someone please tell me what planet I'm on!
Also, this means Adam and Eve are going to live in the same house again. Pray for humanity.
Hi.
Now I never have to mourn my brother.
Okay.
F*** Michael.
I'd like to take his face off. Yes. His face off. The face off.
I say, goddamn, what a rush!
When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other.
Have all these rules, and you think they'll save you.
How did I spend that much money? Yeah, I know it's sexy, Woodhouse. That's why I bought 10.
Mirror!
You understand that the nerves were completely severed, Mr. Napier.
Football practice.
And look, I given a million ladies a million foot massages, and they all meant something. We act like they don't, but they do. I mean, that's what's so f***ing cool about them.
How can I get out of here?
You can't. How, in the name of Zeus's butthole, did you get out of your cell?
Here, smell my hand. Here, smell my hand. No, you smell my hand. Hey, picture, smell my hand. Hey, kid, smell my hand. Smell my hand, Eve. Why didn't he just open with this move in the beginning?
I'm sorry I shot you.
Oh, honey, just smell my hand.
My name's Jamie.
In this family, we smell hands. Welcome, and smell my hand.